folks, earlier this morning, well, this is the same day I'm filming this, I came out and did a little live on the fruit trees, on the fruit on my apricot and the leaves of my other fruit trees, my plums and pears and apples. Just careful, there's a rabbit hole there. That's it, nearly got it. Now I've come back out, I did mention that I was going to spray these trees and I brought a little solution. Now I'm not going to do it with 1 litre, 2 litre bottles. There's 200 trees here. And each tree will need this sort of size here, about half a litre to a litre. So let's say 100 litres we'll probably easily use here. I've got a 20 litre little battery operated one, which I'll bring out later on, but for the purpose of the demonstration, I thought I'll just make a mix like this for now. And I'm going to spray them on. Now what I've got in here is our CGWS. For those who use it regularly, it is a white coloured powder, whereas this one here has got a little bit of a brown tinge to it, hasn't it? You can see that it's going to leak a little bit, but I'm just going to mix it up a little bit more. What I've got in here is our superfood, folks. That's right, the fine. So the fine, not the insect crustaceans and all the exoskeletal shell, but the actual frass, the fine stuff there. So put it through a sieve, get a little bit of that out and put it in there with that, about a teaspoon of it in a couple of litres, or just use some Eco Butch and liquid gold. Add that into your CGWS. Why? Because you're going to feed the plants at the same time. You know, 2 birds with the 1 stone, or 2 trees, or 2 things with the 1 application. So that's what we're going to do here today. This is a pear tree, and finally we've got some pears on this one too. Don't ask me what variety it is, I haven't got the list in front of me. So let's just put our goggles on and see if we can find any pear and cherry slugs, because apparently they love pear trees. Have a look at this. Here we are. That's a tiny, tiny little one there. Can you see that there? Now there's plenty on this tree, I mean more than you want to see on any tree really at the end of the day, and some of the larger ones, I'm going to take this one off and show you close up. You probably can go in on your own on the tree, but anyway, that's it there. That's just beginning now. It hasn't even started to eat off the tree or the leaf, but when it does, it skeletonizes it. It looks like a slug, but it's a caterpillar. And if you look at it closely, can you tell me which side the head's on? Obviously it's got the big head, it's a hammerhead, mate, because that's the front of it, that's the back of it. So as you're looking at it, to the right, that is, folks. And now once that gets stuck into your leaf, it's going to turn it into what looks like a beautiful green leaf now into something that looks like it's just come out of a cemetery. Here's one where it's already got into it. I'm going to sacrifice this leaf as well. See that? It eats all the green surface between the veins, folks, and all that left over there eventually just dries up, disintegrates, and you know, the leaf falls off. And what happens to the tree? Well, if you cop it really bad, you lose a lot of leaves. Well, they're solar panels. They can't generate the energy that they need from the sun so they can make their sugars and feed themselves in the soil, and in return get fed back. So the pear and cherry slug loves to feed itself, but at the sacrifice of the health of a tree. So we really got to control this pest. And it's not about nutrient density in the leaves at all only, because these pests are chewing insects. So to get your Brix level count on these plants pretty high out in the orchard, it's going to be pretty hard and amazing to do, I reckon. So what we're going to do instead, folks, we're going to spray this tree, and I'm using CGWS with a little bit of superfood. You can have your other option, or just keep it neat. Now, the thing with CGWS, and for those who don't know about it, it was initially we brought it out to help protect citrus trees from a couple of things. One, citrus gall wasp, because that insect does a lot of damage to the branch, not the fruit or the leaf. So we spray it along the branch of the tree. So we avoid in that circumstance the fruit or the leaves, and we focus on the branches where the damage has occurred. But later on we also tried on citrus leaf miner, which is the leaf of the plant as well. Now with the leaf, couple of things you've got to be careful of on the timing, because when the leaf first comes out, it's really soft, sapling, succulent, and burgundy colour in some cases, or even just a lime green colour. You've got to be careful not to spray it on at that stage, because you need the leaf to harden off somewhat. It can't be sprayed the day after it's just sprouted, because that's way too delicate. But that does work in controlling the leaf miner, which causes the leaf to distort and fall off and all things like that. Then, and I'm going on with this, I've tried it on codling moth, on apple trees, and we'll talk about that in respect to our pear trees. You can spray it directly on the fruit, and it creates that barrier on the fruit and stops the codling moth, or deters it rather, from being able to lay its egg, or the grub or the larvae that hatches is able to penetrate through that barrier and enter the fruit. So you don't want that happening, and that's what we use that for as well. And more recently, we are trying it with fruit fly. We're asking people to actually spray it on their fruit and vegetables. A lot of you complaining about bananas and apples and tomatoes and eggplants being damaged, destroyed, and I get it. It's such a destructive insect, the fruit fly we're talking about. And if you're using traps, that's great. If you're putting netting over the top, that's even great as well. They're important. They're vital to do all those rather than just one thing. If you're hanging a trap, now if you're still listening, you're hanging a trap out here and you've got fruit fly, don't expect it to work 100%. It's more of a monitor thing. It'll attract them, but you're not going to get all of them. So you need to do multiple things. Traps, sprays. And if you are suffering with fruit fly, I'd 100% ask you and recommend you to actually give it a spray. Okay, this is a 3-year-old sprayer. We are out of stock of them, but you can use any old sprayer or get a large one, folks. So what I'm doing in this case here, I'm applying it to the point of runoff, drip. It's a clay base and a fertilizer at the same time, folks. That's what I've got in here. And what happens here, once it dries, and we'll wait a few minutes, we'll go around to other trees, but we'll come back and see once this dries if it leaves that white film. If it's not evident enough, that means you've gone too light on the application. If you turn the fruit completely white, fantastic. It also may be that you may not have put enough in the mixture. It's about 3 heaped tablespoons per litre of water that you need to apply. Now, as far as protecting it against the pear and cherry, well, once it dries on the insect itself, it's going to hate it. That clay base is going to suffocate the insect. It's going to cause it to want to clean itself and jump off and so on. And it won't actually enjoy eating through the leaf. So it is a major and a positive deterrent in controlling this pest. Why do I say that? Because I've had it before, and I've only sprayed it once or twice on that tree. We're talking about the quince tree, and it knocked it out for 6. And I did mention that in a little live. You can scroll back to that video and see it on if you're watching it on Facebook. So in this case here, we're going to open up the valves on this and get a bit more of a stream. There we are. On the fruit, on the leaves, and I said half a litre to a litre on the trees, and you make sure that you get a good covering. It's a little bit too powerful. That's it. So once it dries, it should leave a white film on there, folks, and that is your indicator, that white colour that you see, because once it starts to fade, then you know it's going to become more vulnerable and susceptible to being reinfested. And as we know, the pear and cherry slug, it starts when the warm weather kicks in, and it will persevere and persist in destroying your garden all the way through till the end of summer into autumn as well. So that's the pear and cherry slug on here. Let me show you another thing. With the weather we've been having of lately, and we're talking about climatic changes within the hour, on the hour, every hour, and I'm not going to go into those details, but you all know my opinion on that. We get climatic damages caused here. So the symptoms of that is, in this case here, we're looking at an apricot, we're looking at freckle. I did mention this again in the live feed, but I said I was going to film it again and just talk a little bit more about it. This should have been sprayed, and I'm not one of those gardeners that shows you all the good stuff. Only my successes, my champion beetroot, they grow to 1 kilo, and my tomatoes that grow to 2 kilos, and things like that. I'll show you the bumps and bruises because everybody goes through these, no matter how good a gardener you are. And in fact, if you've been actually, here's a quick question for all you avid gardeners and those really, in decades of gardening in your lives. Share with us just a number, how many plants you've killed in your lifetime in the garden. I'll share mine too at the end of this. I'll actually text it back to everybody, but I'd love to hear from some of you because I'll tell you, if you're a true gardener, that number's going to be pretty high. I can tell you that. If you haven't killed a single plant, then are you gardening or somebody else doing it for you? But look, in all honesty, maybe you are successful and you haven't killed one. It's hard to believe that, but anyway, come around here, have a look at this. These are bumps and bruises. We mentioned this earlier. We've got a bit of gummosis on this tree. Not a lot, actually. Let me put my glasses back on. See, now I don't even know which pocket I put them in. Now, this tree here, this branch here in particular, it's oozing out right down here. There's the sap, and there's some down here on this side. There we are. Make some gum out of that. That is fantastic. I mean, we call that a tinner. That you plug holes in timber and barrels, if you like. You just work it down, soften it up, and then it's really pliable and sticks really well as well. So that's got to come off, this branch here, because it's already dead. It's going to work its way back. That's the cut-off point. We're going to take it right back to there, sacrifice some of that fruit. I didn't bring the secateurs. You know, I come unprepared here, folks. As long as you can imagine what I'm talking about when I cut it off, it's just a cut there and dispose of it. But as far as the fruit, back on that topic, the freckle or shot hole, if you like, is really climatic caused by the weather, basically. This is caused by birds. Have a look at that. Fruit's nowhere near ready to be ripened, but the birds, our local birds, are starting to realise we've got something here that can be quite tasty, and they're sort of sticking their nose around and tasting the produce, seeing when it's going to be ready. So whilst we see, I've seen this on almost every tree, folks. They're coming around and tasting every different fruit. The scouts are out. Quick one. There's one there. That's an apple. I can go around and find a fruit like this or two on every tree. So they're sending out the message they're going to have a feast here later on in summertime. Not under my watch. We're going to roll out the insect netting. 5 metre one, maybe 10 metre wide one, 100 metre roll. Each row here is about 100 metres. We're going to go from the start, roll it all the way over the top. I'm not going to put any arch rings or anything. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know. Whatever I do, as long as I covered them, that's the most important part about it, because we're going to lose all this fruit before I even get to taste one of them. So as far as the shot hole's concerned, or the freckle, well, you can too spray it with an oil base, make your own olive oil and dishwashing. We're talking about suppressing the spores from getting any worse and really controlling the climate from affecting it, you know, the adverse weather changes that we have, which is what's caused it. High moisture, fluctuating temperature, humidity going through the roof sometimes, all those play havoc on the tree. Overall, the tree's super healthy, bar one branch and a little bit of freckle, which is not a soil-borne problem. So we're going to apply this spray on the fruit as well. I don't have to worry about the leaves here or the branches, folks, so just focus on spraying the fruit. It's been about 5 to 10 minutes, folks, since we sprayed it. It's still drying off, but you can see already the white film developing on it. I reckon you can do with another coat on it, so it's got enough film on it for now as I see it. But let's go and have a look on the side where the pear and cherry slug is. That's the aim there, to see if we can stop it. Obviously you want to spray it on the tree as a preventative. It's a barrier shield, it's a white barrier shield that you've creating on there, and that stops the pear and cherry slug from being able to enjoy eating. It's still wet on there, the insect itself. Have a look. So we can't tell if it's going to dry up on it and how effective it's going to be, or how quickly it's going to work. But in the past, because I've done it like this, I've done a couple of sprays and I've been able to eradicate it. Now I did add some diatomaceous earth in it too in the last batch that I did, but this time here I've just gone CGWS straight and a little bit of superfood powder mixed into it for a feed, and hopefully we combat the problem. Now 1 litre, maybe need a couple of litres I reckon, folks. So monitor your tree, don't do a light spray. That's the most important thing you've got to remember when you apply a product like this. You need it to cover over properly. Once it dries out, you want it to see a white film over the top. And if you've got some garden ornaments or walls or buildings behind it, make sure you tape them up, because you don't want that white film going on there. It washes off, as it does on the fruit as well. So for those who are thinking, is it safe? It's topical. It doesn't penetrate into through the skin of anything, and it just washes off under warm water, if you like, or cold water as well. So CGWS, mix it with any combo to get it going with a feed and a protection, and look after your trees. These trees are really looking good considering the little time I spend with them. Hopefully your trees are doing well as well. Check out our website, vasilisgarden.com, for all your great specials every day. From me, Vasily, Maresi.